We're talking Jaspers baseball. This is episode number 13, sailing right through the season. I'm Mark Renee. That is the head coach of the Manhattan Jaspers baseball team, Dave Miller. And coach, before we talk about the 2 out of 3 over the weekend against Mount St. Mary's, let's rewind to Wednesday's midweek visit to Seton Hall. And for the most part, it was a game. It was a close game. Things got away from you in the 7th and 8th.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was one of those games where, I don't want to make excuses for the team, but I think they were really focused on Mount St. Mary's weekend in conference that, maybe my fault as a coach is we didn't take that game as seriously as we should have. Pitching, I know Babel went out and threw 5 solid, and then the bullpen kind of fell apart at the end, but, I mean, with 2 weeks left in the season, I think the Manhattan Jaspers are really focused on conference.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I don't know that you could have gotten a much better start than you did in Friday's series opener from Will Hessling. 10 strikeouts. I think there might have been 1 walk. There was 1 hit batter. He went the distance on a 3-hitter. I mean, he was just, from the get-go, he looked locked in. And in fact, I saw him maybe a half hour before first pitch in the dugout. How you feeling? Great. I said, oh, great. Okay, let's see what that means. And he pitched lights out.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you a funny story real fast. He had a couple not-so-great starts his last few weeks. And we, as a coaching staff, really thought about shaking it up. And going into Thursday, I was going to start Jack Mahoney on Friday. And then I was going to have Will Hessling come out of the bullpen. And sometimes a coach's biggest issue is his own brain. Because Mahoney has been doing a great thing, has been doing his job in his role. And everybody had been doing their jobs in their role. So I scratched that idea last minute, and we said, let's let Will go out and give us 1 more start, and then, maybe we can talk about it after. And sure enough, if I had pulled him, I wouldn't be sitting here right now, So really happy with his start. It's been something that we knew, he had showed it at Texas, he showed it at St. Peter's. That's the guy we know if he goes out there and pitches like that, he's going to give us a better than average chance to win a ball game.
And it had been about a month since he had anything close to a quality start.
Yeah, and that's why we thought about making the change, but he's been our leader all year, and I'm very, very happy that I decided to leave it as is.
Also meant you had Jack Mahoney available out of the bullpen for Saturday when you started Tyler Fagler. He went the first 3. Ali Pudvar went the middle 3 and wound up the win, and Jack wound up getting a 3-inning save.
Yeah. I think one of the really strong pieces of the Manhattan baseball team is we have 5-6 quality arms out of the bullpen. Yeah. So, we, with Will giving us a complete game on Friday, it really allowed us to save our bullpen for the rest of the week, and we needed it. Ali went 3 strong, and then we knew going into the 7th we needed Mahoney to come in and close the door. And, we've learned with Jack that he needs that pressure to get that adrenaline rush from him to get that extra oomph out of his arm. And, it was a great save and great middle relief by Ali and Jack.
And we'll get to Sunday's, I'm calling it a slugfest, but only because 25 runs were put up. I want to go back a little bit. You had Jack Lynch in the starting lineup for the whole weekend, first time since, obviously, when he got hurt in March down at Texas. And if there were any lingering doubts about the health of his ankle, I think scoring from second base on a sacrifice fly put an end to that.
Yeah, I mean, we told him to be careful. Anybody fresh off the disabled list, you don't want him to go out there and have to really push it, but I mean, right from get-go, he had to push it. And at the end of the game on Friday, I asked how he was feeling. He said, great. We really weren't expecting him to light it up with his bat the way he did because he hadn't seen live pitching since March. So, him hitting a big home run on Sunday and having a couple hits, over the course of the weekend, it's really going to help us in the stretch run with the MAC baseball tournament.
Yeah, 7 games left in the regular season. Obviously 6 in the conference, 3 this weekend up at Canisius, and the 3 to wrap things up at home against Ryder next weekend. So we talked about Jack. Obviously he hit the home run. Pete DeRocher had a pretty good weekend too at the bat.
Yeah, I mean, Pete's really been coming on strong as of late. I think he's really starting to have some fun now playing the game. Put a lot of pressure on himself early when Jack went down to be the man. So now that I think that, we've kind of have been able to tame him down and just go out and play baseball, he's really coming on strong. I think his batting average now is creeping up, or maybe slightly over 300 now. But hopefully in the last 7 games he can really turn it on for us and help us in the stretch run.
Yeah, right back to 300, in fact, on the dot as we sit here this afternoon. And Daniel Perez, your leading home run hitter, goes deep back-to-back Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel's been interesting. He was hot early, then he cooled off for a little bit. Now, hopefully he's getting hot again, which is great. The guys are really, they're all doing their job. So we're just hoping that, over these next 2 weeks, everybody continues to do their job and put the team ahead of everything else, and let's just go out and win some baseball games.
Yeah, and you had to break up the Jersey guys' outfield on Sunday. Fredo Delgado sat out after getting hit twice with a pitch on Saturday. That second one got him somewhere up around the bill of his helmet, right?
Yeah, I mean, he hit him in the brim of the cap, and with today's concussion protocols and things like that, I don't think the training staff, or the doctors wanted to take any chance. He had to pass a few things, so he had to take Sunday off. Missing his bat was sad. I mean, he's been hot for us lately, so it'll be good that he got cleared yesterday from the team doctors, and he'll be back in our lineup on Friday.
And Frankie Marinelli, who hadn't played first base, I think, since the middle of March, first game back up north out at Hofstra was the last time he started there. Didn't look like he'd been playing the outfield for the last 2 months instead of first base.
Yeah, I mean, Frankie's Mr. Versatility. I mean, you tell him to play center, he'll play center. Left, he'll play left. We need you at first, he'll play first. I mean, he's the guy you really want, as a culture guy, as a locker room guy, because all he wants to do is go out and help the team win baseball games. So, it's always good to have a kid like Frankie in your dugout.
All right, so you take the first two, 5-0, and what was it, 7-2, 9-7, 9-7 on Saturday. You think I would know, I was there. And then we turn the page to Sunday, 3-0 down first inning. You answer right back with a 5 spot, and you had to feel good about that, obviously falling behind 3-0, and that's been happening so often this season where you find yourself having to climb out of a hole. But the fact that you came back and actually took the lead had to feel somewhat pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, the kids right now, they're feeling good about their game. They're playing hard. They're starting to believe that down 3 they can come back and win. And after taking the first 2 of the series, they just went out and played with a little bit of reckless abandon, and we crawled back in. But Sunday was a slugfest. I mean, they kept tacking on runs. We had to catch up. As soon as we caught up, they tack on again, and then we just fell short at the end.
Yeah, the 5-run fifth really wound up being the downfall. But again, and I mentioned this on the broadcast, every time this team is down lately, they've got that, gritty, gutty approach to scratching back in.
Yeah, I mean, look, these guys know what they're playing for. I mean, you get to the MAC tournament, anything can happen, So to look at the standings, but we hold the key to our own destiny. We just got to go out and play baseball and just go do what God put us on this great earth to do, and see what happens.
Right. Well, you may not look at the standings, but I do. There's a 3-way tie for the last 3 spots at 10 and 8. You're part of that mix, and obviously you control, as they say, your own destiny. But this weekend against Canisius, which has, coming off losing 2 out of 3 to Fairfield, has fallen into a tie for second place. And then you get Ryder, which is going to be in contention maybe for the regular season championship when they come to your place next weekend.
I'm new to the MAC, but my understanding is Canisius has the reigning pitcher and player of the year, so we've got to go in prepared to do that. Duffy, the Friday guy, is going to go out there and he's going to throw hard and he's going to throw strikes. We got to be ready to hit. I don't want to look up to Ryder yet, but Ryder had a big win last night against Duke University. So it's not going to be easy for the boys here in Manhattan, but who wants it to be easy? We want to go out and just play the game as hard as we can, and hopefully the coin flips in our direction.
Yes. First time, obviously, in a long time, you don't have a midweek though. So how does that change staying sharp, or how does that help you stay sharp?
Yesterday and today, we're doing live scrimmages with guys like Tyler Babel. We know he will start next Tuesday against Fordham, so
Okay.
we don't want to put him in the bullpen this weekend. So he threw 4 or 5 innings for us yesterday in a scrimmage, and some guys that haven't thrown a lot are throwing to our hitters to keep us fresh. But we're out there practicing on Gaelic right now, getting ready for the turf up in Canisius. But we're ready to go, and it's go time.
Talked about Duffy, 5-2 on the season. I'm looking at his numbers. Out of his 11 starts for the season, 8 quality starts. The last 4 in a row, he's reached double digits in strikeouts 6 times in 11 starts. So what kind of scouting report can you give us on?
We've been watching him on ESPN Plus. We've been watching him on our scouting apps. He's a kid that will pound the zone, and he commands. He has a good presence on the mound. I mean, that's a kid that any coach would want in his dugout or on his mound on Friday. But we've got a Will Hesslink. They've got to face him, and we've got some bats that are really swinging the bat well. So, we're just going to go out there, and we've been practicing all year for this, so we're ready. We just got to be ready. We went out to Texas and we hit them pretty good. So it's not like we can't hit velo. So we just got to go out and try to do our best and try to get him out of the game early.
A little bit more, if I may, on the Golden Griffs. Offensively, they do have Max Grant. He was the preseason player of the year in the voting, but not having a preseason, or he's not having a postseason player of the year season because he's only hitting .266. He's got 2 home runs, 21 RBIs. Kind of a surprise. Do you think maybe the league's got the book on him? What's the scoop there?
When sometimes you have kids like that, he's probably another guy that, I've watched him play. The kid's got talent.
Yeah.
I mean, and so I watched that kid play, and, that could be another situation where he's putting a lot of pressure on himself to do too much. And sometimes you just got to, find a way to turn the brain off and just go play baseball. He's got to find the love of the game again, but because the kid's hitting .266 doesn't mean that kid can't hit. We all know he could hit. He did it last year. So, we've got to pitch to him. We've got to hit our spots. We don't want a kid like him to beat us. So, we just got to hope our guys, are prepared and they're ready to throw the ball where we're supposed to throw the ball and, miss their bats.
I apologize to Max and the entire Grant family. I sold you short. He's .268.
There you go.
I want to make sure I get the numbers right. But picking up the slack for him in more ways than one, they have a kid named Dylan Vincent, second in the conference right now and batting at .390, 10 home runs, 33 RBIs, and I think after Fairfield's Charlie Pagliarini, he might be right up there for Player of the Year.
Yeah, another kid that we've been keeping a close eye on. We're getting our scouting reports and we're putting them together now, but we're going to go in there and, we're going to do our best to pitch to his weak spots, which right now aren't many.
Yeah.
Like I said, Will Hess is a competitor. He's not going to go out there and just throw it down the middle and say, see how far you can hit it. He's going to go make him hit Will's pitch, and, hopefully, we know Duffy's going to do the same against us, so it's just going to see who shows up ready to go.
Yeah, probably should mention Jackson Strong, too, 5th in the conference in batting at .372, so they've got 2 of the top 5. And again, we're looking at a preseason player of the year who's not up in that mix, but 3 guys really at the top of their lineup who are really dangerous.
They can hit. I mean, that's one thing that I've learned about the MAC is every team has 3 or 4 really quality hitters, and it's just, we got to keep them in check. We did a good job keeping Mounts, 2, 3, 4, and 5 hitters in check on Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday they opened up a little can on us, but that's okay. It's just we're going to miss spots here, there. They're going to get their hits. We know that. We just want them to get their hits when nobody's on base.
I think that ball Shane Walkley hit against you guys on Sunday to right center just landed.
Yeah.
It was a shot.
Yeah.
You don't see too many of those. And they had another one earlier in the weekend that went up near the top of the wall, which is, again, something you don't see every day. But you got 2 out of 3. Now, going in, I was talking to a bunch of the guys Friday afternoon before the game, and they were talking about how they were loaded for bear. We want this series. We want a sweep. And I know you like to look at one game at a time.
Yep.
The fact that you were able to take the first 2, though, had to feel pretty good going into Sunday. Was there a sense of playing with house money, or is it too important?
Well, no, I mean, our mindset is we want to win every baseball game, but, sweeping in today's day and age is not that easy to do.
Yeah.
You know, so the fact, you know, if we went in there and somebody told us after Mount St. Mary's we would have the series, I know secretly we would be happy.
Okay.
You know, but getting these guys to play, you know, 27 innings over 3 days that's the goal that I have to do and do my job as a coach is get them to understand when you've got Friday and Saturday in the books, you got to come out, and Sunday you got to forget Friday and Saturday even existed, and you got to play that game like it's Game 7 of the World Series. These guys are figuring that out. They're learning it. We're getting there. You know, we're getting healthy. You know, things are really falling into place for us, you know, for this late run in the season. So I think we're in a good spot. You know, if guys, like I said, if guys look back at some of the weird freak injuries that we've been dealing with, I think we've done a very good job in conference competing, you know, in the MAC.
Yeah, and I think we should also mention your defense, which has really improved from where you were at the beginning of the year. I'm looking at the 4 box scores here from last week. 6 errors total over 4 games is very much different and improved from where you were at this point even a month ago.
And I think that has a lot to do with having Jack back at shortstop. You know, he can get to some balls that some other guys might be a step slow on. You know, Frank, I mean, Trevor Santos, I would love to look up his numbers with outfield assists. You know, he's got to be up there top 10 in the country, I bet. I mean, I don't know how many he has, but he might get close to 10 by now. But that kid, every time he catches the ball, he seems to throw somebody out. But, you know, it's just been like the guys are really working hard. You know, so defense has been a priority of ours. I know we're probably down at the bottom in the MAC in fielding percentage, but you know, every game, every day we practice, our job is to get better. So
yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Trevor Santos. I didn't want to give him the short end of the stick here because I mentioned at one point when he threw the guy out at third, I think it was Friday, why are they not watching this kid? On the scouting report, it should be there. Do not run on Trevor Santos.
I mean, when you look at him, you won't think he's got an absolute cannon for an arm. And, you know, that kid, you know, the bat's been up and down for him, but he has not taken one at-bat into the field. He plays defense like, you know, like it's his job. I mean, he really does, so love it.
All right, as we wrap up, you had a nice little reunion before the first pitch on Friday with your former boss, who's now the head coach at Mount St. Mary's, Frank Leone. Nice to get 2 out of 3 against him. You get bragging rights at least.
Well, that's at least what he told us. He's like, that's a great first weekend. I mean, so I've got bragging rights for this year, and I know every year we're going to go after each other pretty hard. I mean, he hired me at William and Mary, you know, like almost 10 years ago. He saw something in me, so I always owe him something like that. You know, as he was my head coach, he taught me a lot of things. So it's great to see him back in Division I where he belongs, and you know, I'm going to have to keep trying to out-recruit him because he's a good recruiter. So.
All right, as we wrap things up, how important is it? We talked about you controlling your own destiny. First of all, how nice is it to be in a position like that? Because I think when we looked at things, you know, starting out the conference here, you weren't so sure that would be the scenario.
Yeah, well, I mean, like when you have a couple weeks left in the season and you're playing for something that changes the way you go out and do your day-to-day, you know, duties, and you know we're out there today with a live scrimmage and batting practice, and these kids were already out there taking ground balls. You know, I'm in here doing this TV show, you know, a podcast, and they're all out there working hard because they know what's on the line. So, you know, when you're in something this late, you know, it's a playoff vibe, and you know, anyone who's been in a playoff situation knows how exciting that can be. So every pitch matters, every swing matters, every ground ball matters, everything matters.
All right, well, the first big one against Canisius up there is now 8 o'clock on Friday. Give you the schedule notes. They are hosting the MAC Softball Championship, so the schedule had to be adjusted a little bit. 8 o'clock start on a Friday night, not optimal, but you deal with it, right?
8 o'clock on a Friday night, 6 o'clock on a Saturday. So at least, you know, if we go extra innings Friday night, we can sleep in on Saturday. But, you know, it's okay. I mean, like, look, we had to have some time changes this weekend when the Mount came in. It's, you know, when you're up here in the Northeast, you know, you got to understand that I think Canisius baseball and softball field are connected to each other. So, you know, hey, MAC softball tournament's important too, so good luck to all the girls out there. But, you know, it's okay. We'll make do, we'll figure it out, and we're not going to complain. We're just going to go do.
Okay. 8 o'clock Friday, 6 o'clock Saturday, 12 noon Sunday. Weather should be gorgeous. Have a great trip, and Continued success. We'll see you Tuesday for Fordham.
Thank you.
That's the head coach of the Manhattan Jaspers, Dave Miller. I'm Mark Renee. We have been talking Jaspers baseball. We'll see you next week from Clover before the game against Fordham.